Hey guys, this is Balu and today in this tutorial I will show how we can create this kind of CGI advertisement videos in Blender using FSpy application to get the perspective of camera and geo tracker to get the tracking of the footage in Blender easily. So hope you guys will find the video useful, and without any further delay, let's start today's video. So here I will be using this footage which I got from Pexels. I will leave a link in the description if you want to follow the same. So here we need to get the starting frame here. So be on the starting frame. If you are using VLC, go to this video and take a snapshot, or else you can use any other editing software to get the starting frame of the video. So basically, in order to work with FSpy, we need to have an image format. So for that reason only we took the snapshot of the video. So let's load that one. So I will load the snapshot here. Simply drag and drop it here. So here you can see we got two vanishing points, and vanishing point axis here I will change this second axis to Z axis. So now we need to align this as per the axis. So this red one is X axis and blue is Y axis. So I will select this red one and I will place it here. Hold shift key and let's place this here. Let's select this one and let's place this corner. Is it here? Is it here? So X axis is done. Now let's place the Z axis. So this blue is Z axis. So let's place this. So now you can see we got this X and Z axis placed. So now let's come to this 3D guide and let it be XY grid floor. So let's place the floor here. So once this is done, go to this file options and save the file. So here I will give like 1 2 3 4 5. Now we can close this FSpy application. So now we are in Blender. So here you can see I'm using Blender 4.1 version. So let's close this, or let's clear this default scene by pressing A on the keyboard and delete. Now let's import that FSpy data here. So go to this file options, import. And by the way, if you're not finding this option, it means that you haven't installed that FSpy add-on. So I will leave a link in the description for that video, or else you can click on the icon for the video. In that video I have explained clearly how to download and install these add-ons. So select this FSpy and let's select this FSpy file and open. So now you can see we got the file along with the image. So first of all, let's come to this camera background image. Here first let's load our footage. So change this to movie clip. So here I got the footage. Select the footage and open clip, and let's change the opacity to 1. Okay, so now we have loaded our footage. So now let's add a plane here. So go to this add mesh, select a plane. So here you can see we got the plane here, RX90 to rotate it. Now let's place this on this position. So let's bring it here, press S and reduce the scaling, or else let's make this larger. So I think this is fine. Okay, S, Z, and let's increase the scaling in Z axis. Now change this to edit mode. So go to this options and change this to edit mode, or else you can press tab key for edit mode. Select this edge selection, select this edge, press E, X and extend in X axis. Select this edge, E, X and extend in this E, Z and extend, and also extend this one also. Okay, so now change this to face selection and select this center face, press E, S and extrude inwards. Now again press E and extrude inwards here. So we got this box kind of shape created. So if you can see we got this kind of shape here. So now let's add some materials. So select these outer faces. So let's select these outer faces, come to this material options, click on this new button to add a material. So here I will change the surface to hold out. So now let's select these inner faces. So select the faces, hold shift key and select all the faces here, and also select these outer faces also. Okay, now click on this plus to add a new material, add new material and assign. Let's change the color here a bit and assign this. So if I change this to material viewport, you can see we got this box structure only visible. So this holdout means we won't be able to see this extrusion will not be visible in the video. So for that reason we have applied the holdout material, and for this box we have applied normal material. Later we can change this one. So now change this to object mode. Now press 0 once again to see through camera. So now we got our basic modeling done. Now let's see how we can track the footage. So for this I will be using Geo Tracker. So press N on the keyboard. Here we got this Geo Tracker. Click on this, create new Geo Tracker. So by default this geometry, the plane will be selected, and camera, this F-Spy applications data will be selected. Here we need to load the clip once again. So load the clip here. So this is the clip, load the clip. So here we get the analyze option. Here I am getting this reanalyze because I have already analyzed the footage. So for you this might be analyze option. Just click on that analyze option. So frames, I will leave this to 12376 and hit OK. And this warning size, because I have already analyzed the footage, so it will overwrite the data. Just simply hit OK. Now you can see the analyze has been started. So here this analyzing is done. So first of all let me save the project. So go to this file, save. So the file is saved. So after that come to this camera options, enable this estimate focal length if you don't know the focal length, and change this to camera and click on this start pin mode. So now click on this forward tracking. So click on this track to end. So now you can see this tracking is done, and we will get the keyframes here. You can see we got the keyframes right. So once this is done, just click on this exit pin mode. And so here if I play this now, you can see we got our object following the camera movement. So here the tracking is done, the tracking part is done. So now let's change to this render viewport. So here the sign is looking dark because there is no light in the scene. So let's add HDRI. So come to this world properties, click on this yellow dot here and select this environment texture. And here I will load an HDRI. So open. So here I got few HDRIs. So from here I will select this cloud HDRI and open. Now you can see we got light in the scene. So come to this render options, enable ambient occlusion and distance. I will change this to 5. Enable screen space reflections, refractions, and by the way we will not be using EV render here. We'll use cycles. So come to this film options and enable this transparent. Now we got light in the scene. Nice. So now let's move on to this cloth simulation. So let's change back to this viewport. So select this object or mesh. So change this to edit mode. Edit mode. Now select this face here. Select only this face. Shift D to duplicate it. Press Y and move along the Y axis here. So now we need to separate this one. So press P and select this by selection. Now again press tab key or else change this to edit mode. So now this is a separate object. So here you can see this is separate object. So let's bring our anchor point. So object, set origin to geometry. So let's place this here. So this is going to be the cloth. So let's reduce the scaling a bit. So press S and reduce this a bit here. So I think this is fine. First of all let's change the material. So let's delete the material here. So let's delete this one also. So here let's load an iPhone image, iPhone 15 Pro image or banner. So click on this new material option, and first of all let's change this to shading viewport. So select this principal BSDF and press Ctrl plus T to get the node wrangler. And by the way, if you're not enable node wrangler, go to this edit options, preferences, come to this add-on and look for node, NODE. Enable this node wrangler, save those preferences. Now select this principal BSDF and press Ctrl plus T, T for T. Now we got this node setup, and from here we will select the iPhone banner. So open. So here I got this from Google, select it and open image. Now you can see it got loaded, but it is bit shrinked. So let's adjust that one. So here we got the scale options, right? So let's adjust the scaling. So I think this is fine. And location also, let's bring the location here. So now you can see we got this iPhone banner. So let's move back to layout, and now we got the banner here. So now let's convert this plane into cloth. So for that, first we need to add subdivisions. So change this to edit mode, press A to select all the vertex, right click, or else you can add loop cuts. So Ctrl R and use mouse wheel scroll button to add loop cuts here. So at this corner you can see the number of loop cuts. So here I will add loop cuts like 100. So 100 loop cuts were added. And also let's add loop cuts in this way. So Ctrl R and add loop cuts. So adjust the loop cuts so that we get squares here. So I think this is fine. Okay, so now if I select, you can see we got the squares here. So for that reason we are adding loop cuts. If I subdivide, we won't get the squares, we will get rectangles. That will not be good for cloth simulations. So for that reason we are adding loop cuts. Okay, so now let's add cloth simulation or cloth physics onto this plane. So press tab key to exit that edit mode. So now being selected this plane, come to this physics property, add cloth here. So now come to the starting frame. So if I play this, you can see the plane will be falling down. So here I don't want the simulation, or I don't want the cloth to be falling down. So for that, select the cloth, press tab key for edit mode, change this to vertex selection, press 1 for front view. Let's select this below vertex here. Come to this object data properties, click on this plus icon of this vertex group, and let's rename this as pins and assign. Now these vertices are assigned to this pins group. So now again press tab key to exit this edit mode. Now come to this physics property, scroll down, come to the shape options, and in pin group select the pins which we have created, and come to this collision options and enable this self collision, and friction, let's reduce this a bit. Now let's change this to solid viewport and let's play this. So here you can see we got the cloth simulation and it is holding at this position. So now right click and shade smooth to get some smoothness. And if you want, you can change the preset here. Here we got few presets, cloth preset. So click on these 3 lines, and if you want to select any of the things you can use. So I will change this to denim, and let's see this how it looks. So now if I play this, you can see we got the cloth simulation, but this cloth is passing through this mesh. So we need to add collision property for this object also. So select the object, come to this physics property, add collision, and come to the soft body and cloth, and I will reduce the friction to 0. I don't want any friction here. And inner collision, I will change this to 0.1. So I think this is fine. Now this cloth will collide with the object. So I don't want this cloth simulation to be starting from the starting first frame. So come to this catchy options. So select the cloth here, scroll down, come to this catchy option. Here I want this cloth to fall from like 80 frames. So I'll change the simulation start to 80 frames, and timeline, this is like 376, right? I will change the simulation to 376. Okay, so once this is done, and scroll down, let's increase the collision quality. I'll change this to quality 5. I think restant does fine. So I think this is fine. Now once this is done, just click on this bake option. So here the bake is done, and now if I play this, we will have a cloth simulation. So till 80 frames it will stay in that position. After that the cloth will be falling down like this. So here you can see we got our cloth simulation working properly, and we got it perfect. Nice. So now let's add an iPhone model in this object or in this model. So for that I will be using this Blender kit to get the iPhone model. So Blender kit is free to download. So simply search as iPhone 15 and we'll get the models here. So from here you can choose any of the things. So I think I will select this one, or else let's select this one. Just simply click on that object, it will be loaded here. So here you can see we got the model, right click and select the objects. So let's bring the model here. You can see we got the model, right? Let's increase the scaling, press S and increase the scaling. You can see we got the iPhone model. So here we got empty, by which we can control the entire model. If you want to rotate, we can just rotate the empty here. So first of all, let's place this inside this object, inside this box kind of thing. So let it be here. Press 1 for front view, So I'll do a bit rotation here a bit. Okay, so let's come to the starting frame. Select this empty, which is controlling the iPhone. Press I to add a keyframe. So here we will get all the keyframes added for location, rotation and scaling also. So till 80 frames our cloth simulation will be like that only. So till 180 frames, let me give a bit of rotation for this model. So I think, yeah, this is fine. Okay, so press I on the keyboard. After that, let's bring this outside. So let's bring the model outside a bit and add a little bit of rotation. Okay, and press I once again to add a keyframe. So now let's press 0 on the keyboard to see through camera, and if I play this now, you can see we got our CGI advertisement ready. So we got cloth simulation properly done, and we got this object coming out of this box space. And if you want, we can bring it forward. So let's come to this starting frame and let's bring this close to the screen here like this. Okay, press 0. Let's bring it downwards here like this, and yeah, so I think this is looking good. Press I once again. Nice. So now let's change the material of this box. So let's come to this render viewport here. Let's select this material options. Here we will select this material 2. Let's change the material. So come to this blender kit. Here I will be searching materials also. I will search concrete material. This material suits here. So just click on the material, it will be loaded. Now you can see we got that material applied. So now if I move, we can see we got the material applied here. Okay. So if you want to increase the lighting in the scene, just come to this world properties and increase the strength of this HDRI. So if I increase this to 2, you can see we got some lighting in the scene. I'll leave this to 2. So now come to this render properties here. So here this render engine is set to EV. Let's change this to cycles and enable this device GPU. And I think rest and all is good. So if you want to add light in the scene, you can do that. So go to this add options, light, add area light here. So here I have added this area light, and power I will increase this to 500 watts, and let's see. So I think it's not enough power. Okay, so let's reduce this to 25 watts, or else let's reduce to 10. So now you can see we got some light here inside this. Once the light is added, go to this render settings once again, change this to cycles, and let's see the lighting in cycles. So I think in cycles we have to increase the lighting strength a bit. So let's come to this light options, and I will change this to 50. So I think this much is fine. Let it be like that only, or else let's reduce to 25. So let it be like that. So now come to this render settings. So render samples I will reduce to 32. 32 is fine. And noise threshold, let it be 0.1. Enable this denoising option. If you want to enable this motion blur option to get motion blur in the scene, you can add that one. And here if I want to add some shadows here you can see there are no shadows appearing in the scene. So here let's add some shadows. So let's change this to, okay, change this to EV. Come to this object mode. So let's come to the starting frame. Let's add a plane here. So go to this add mesh, select a plane, press RX90, and let's add some plane here. Just let's increase the scaling, or else let's increase the scaling in x-axis. So I think we want the cloth shadows here only. So let's bring this just forward. Okay, so I think this is fine. So after that, come to this options, object properties, visibility, change this to cycles. Come to this render viewport and come to this object properties here and select this shadow catcher. So now this casts only the shadow. So now you can see we are getting the shadows of the cloth visible. So if I press 0 on the keyboard, we'll have the cloth shadows on the building also. So in this way we can add shadows, and if you want to rotate the shadows, we need to rotate the environment. So let's change this to shading, come to this world properties, change this to world and enable this render viewport. So now you can see the shadows are falling diagonally. We want this to be straight. So select this image or this HDRA, press Ctrl+T to get the node wrangler, and now we can rotate this one. So come to this rotation option, rotate the Z axis. You can see the shadows are getting straight here. So I think 45 is fine. And if I disable this film option here, let me come to this render settings, film, and let's disable this transparent. You can see I will be rotating this HDRA. So by rotating this HDRA, the shadows direction will change. So here you can see by default this is looking bit diagonal, and if I change this to 45, we got this straight. So let's change this to 50. So now the shadows are looking straight here. Okay, now let's enable this transparent option so that we can see only shadows. So come to this layout once again, and now we got the shadows also here. So now come to this render settings once again. Let's check the settings once again. So noise threshold 0.1 is fine to get the faster render. So maximum samples, I will leave this to 32. After that, come to this output properties. So by default the resolution set to full HD. If you want, you can change this. I will leave this to full HD only. Enable this render region, crop to render region, and frame rate, let's match this to footage. So footage frame rate is 29.97. So frame range, let it be 12376. If you want to reduce, you can reduce the frame rate here, and here I will select output file where I can save the files. So go to this file options. So here I have selected folder to save the output files. So file format, let it be PNG, and make sure this RGBA is selected or else we won't get the alpha channel. Once this is done, go to this render and click on this render animation. So it starts to render the PNG sequence of this object only. We won't get the footage rendered here. So let me show you single frame. So if I go to this render and render image, so here you can see I got a single frame rendered here. So I will show you how to composite this one in After Effects. So first of all, let me save this, save as, and I'll save this as 116 frame rate, 116 frame, and PNG sequence RGBA, and save as image. Okay, so now let's open After Effects. So here we are in After Effects. Now let's load that PNG image. So right click, import file, import. Let's place this above the image. So now if I move to 116th frame, okay, so this is the frame. So now here you can see we got the frame count, right? So now we got, in this way we can do compositing, and if you want to do color correction, you can do that. So I think this light or material is not matching, so I will change the light. I will delete the light and I will change the material for this object. So in this way we can create this kind of CGI advertisement videos in Blender easily. So hope you guys have learned something new from this tutorial. If you have learned anything new, please like, share and subscribe my channel to support me. So I'll meet in the next video. Until then, signing off. Take care. Bye.